My name is Emma Carter. I'm 43 years old and I live in Eugene, Oregon, in a modest two-story house with windows that squeak when it rains and a porch light that flickers even though we've replaced the bulb more times than I care to admit. I've been married to Daniel Carter for almost 20 years. He's a high school math teacher, steady and dependable in every way that looks perfect on paper, but in real life can sometimes feel more like wallpaper, always there, always the same. We have 2 kids. Lily, our daughter, is 15 and practically attached to her phone, and Noah, who's 19 and just started his sophomore year at Oregon State, studying mechanical engineering. Daniel beams with quiet pride every time someone asks about him. I work part-time as an office administrator at a dental clinic. It's not glamorous, but it pays for groceries and keeps me tied to the world outside the laundry room and the endless stream of PDA emails. Our lives run on autopilot most days. Coffee at 6:45, school drop-off line, dinner at 6 sharp, Daniel grading papers on the couch while I fold towels or scroll half-heartedly through social media. We don't argue. We don't flirt. We just move side by side, like 2 matching lawn chairs that used to be bright blue but have faded together under years of sun. Then Alex Martinez moved into the garage apartment we'd fixed up last summer to help with the rising mortgage. Alex is 23, a college senior studying landscape architecture. He drives an old green Subaru that rattles when he backs up. He's polite and soft-spoken, the kind of young man who carries heavy bags without being asked, and offers to help fix the gutter before I've even noticed it's loose. In the evenings, I'd sometimes hear him on the back porch playing guitar, the soft melodies drifting through the kitchen window as I stirred spaghetti. At first, he was just the tenant. Just a young man trying to make rent. But something shifted, not in him, in me. A shift so small at first it felt like a passing thought, but it grew into something I couldn't ignore. It began one Tuesday afternoon. Sunlight slipped through the blinds, warm and golden. I was reaching for a pie dish from the top shelf when it slipped, tilting too far. Before I could react, a hand caught it midair. Alex had come in quietly through the back door to ask if we had spare trash bags. Reflexes of a ninja, he joked, handing me the dish. I laughed louder than the moment deserved, brushing hair from my face to hide the warmth rising to my cheeks. He smiled, shy, proud, and for a heartbeat, I forgot he was 8 years younger than my son. From then on, it felt like Alex was everywhere. Fixing the garden gate. Bringing in groceries. Cooking dinner one evening when he found me staring helplessly at a half-thawed chicken. He whipped something up with lemon and herbs and apologized for not knowing if we had the right salt. Daniel called it a blessing to have someone so handy around, but I noticed how Alex's eyes lingered just a moment longer than they should. How he remembered I liked cinnamon in my coffee or that ticking clocks made me restless. One evening, I was trimming the wilted hydrangeas in the backyard. Alex stepped outside barefoot, holding 2 bottles of iced tea. "You look like you've had a day," he said, offering one. We sat on the back steps as the sky softened to gold and lavender. He talked about his final project, designing public gardens where people could actually pause and breathe. His words settled somewhere inside me, somewhere I hadn't let myself feel in years. Places where people let themselves breathe. I hadn't realized how long I'd been holding my breath. After a quiet moment, he asked softly, "Did you ever think about what you'd be doing if you hadn't married so young?" I didn't answer, but he didn't need me to. In that shared silence, something opened. A door I hadn't dared unlock. A few days later, we were in the kitchen, lifting a heavy box of dishes. Our fingers brushed. The contact was brief, but it felt electric. I pulled back too fast, nearly dropping a plate. "Sorry," I mumbled. Alex watched me, not with arrogance or curiosity, but with something gentler. "I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable," he said quietly. I shook my head. "You didn't." And we both knew that was only partly true. It happened on a Saturday that felt like every other. Daniel was at a conference in Seattle. Lily was at a sleepover. The house was quiet, almost too quiet. I was folding towels in the laundry room, trying to keep my thoughts from drifting. Then there was a knock. Alex stood there, hair damp from biking over, holding nothing. "Left my charger here," he said, but we both knew he hadn't. He stepped inside. The air felt heavy waiting. "I didn't come for the charger," he confessed. I stood frozen, the hum of the dryer loud in my ears. When he stepped closer, I didn't move. When he brushed hair from my face, I didn't flinch. And when he whispered my name, I let him kiss me. It wasn't slow. It wasn't delicate. It was all the looks, the shared laughter, the hidden ache finally breaking free. His hands were unsure, trembling against my waist. My own hands clung to his shirt, pulling him closer. When it felt too fast, too overwhelming, I whispered, "Slow down." His breath caught, and we found a gentler rhythm. In that moment, guilt and longing tangled into something painfully human. After, we stood there, breathing hard, forehead to forehead, stunned by what had just happened. For a heartbeat, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. But the moment faded, and reality rushed in, Daniel, Lily, Noah, and the quiet promise I'd broken. "You should go," I whispered. Alex didn't argue. He nodded, eyes clouded, and left through the back door. The next morning, I burned the toast, staring at the blackened slice like it had betrayed me. Lily didn't notice, but Daniel did. Not with words. His glances lingered longer, like he was trying to read something in my face. Alex texted me the next day. "I hope I didn't ruin everything." I didn't reply. How could I explain that every quiet moment in the house echoed with his touch? That every folded towel reminded me of the heat of his skin? 2 days later, he came by, claiming he'd forgotten his sunglasses. I met him at the door, handed him glasses he hadn't left behind, and didn't let my gaze drop to his lips. "Emma," he said, voice low. "Are we going to talk about it?" I shook my head. "There's nothing to say." His shoulders fell, but he didn't push. "Okay," he said softly, then walked away. That night, I lay beside Daniel, his arm over my waist. The warmth was familiar, comforting, but it couldn't fill the ache. I closed my eyes, trying to remember what it felt like when he used to look at me the way Alex did. The unraveling came quietly. One afternoon, I was rinsing strawberries when Daniel came home early. His steps were careful, his gaze searching. "Emma," he asked gently, "is there something I should know?" I kept washing berries, my chest tight. "I made a mistake," I whispered. My voice sounded smaller than I felt. "It only happened once." Daniel didn't yell. His face tightened and he nodded. Then he walked to the living room. The silence between us louder than anything we could have said. We slept turned away from each other that night. But in the morning he still made coffee. I still packed Lily's lunch. Life moved forward, quieter, more fragile. The next day, Alex came to the porch, holding a small sketchbook. "I think this belongs to you," he said. Inside were drawings, moments he'd captured from memory. Me in the garden at the kitchen counter, brushing hair from my eyes. "You were the first person who made me feel seen," he confessed. My eyes stung. "And you made me feel alive again," I replied. We didn't touch. We didn't kiss. Alex reached out, gently brushed a strand of hair back, and whispered, "Goodbye, Emma." Then he left. Inside, Lily was laughing at something on TV. Daniel was on a work call. The world hadn't stopped, but something inside me had shifted forever. In the months since, Daniel and I have tried, not to pretend nothing happened, but to understand why it did. We talk more. Sometimes we laugh. We share quiet truths that once stayed buried. We don't mention Alex, but his presence lingers, not as a wound, but as a reminder of how easy it is to drift apart when you stop seeing each other. I still think about that summer, not with pride, not with regret alone, but as a turning point. It wasn't about scandal. It was about remembering I was still here, still someone who wanted to be held, to be noticed, to be wanted. To anyone listening now, it's never too late to look at your life and ask what you really need. Not from someone else, but from yourself. If you felt something in this story, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment to share your thoughts. It truly helps us keep telling honest, human stories like this one. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening.